right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this brand new interview here live at the Wrestling Guy store here in Huntington Park. And I have a very special guest right now. You may have seen him on Impact Wrestling. You may have seen him on 205 Live. You may have seen him on MLW. Basically all around the world, right? So, ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce you to the one and only TJP. How are you?
Good. That is me, right?
Yeah, that's you.
I'm doing well. I'm doing all right.
This is the first, I think, physical interview that has happened here.
On location.
On location. And you're doing some free meet and greets.
Post-apocalyptic.
Well, right. You're doing meet and greets, meeting the fans over here.
Here it's always really special just because whenever I could do stuff in Southern California, it's big because it's like I'm a Southern California kid. So like growing up in LA and Riverside and all like different parts, like I lived in Chatsworth, Santa Monica, all these other places, and I started wrestling out here. So it's whenever I, when I would leave Raw or SmackDown before like the Pond or like the arena in San Diego or this Staples Center, a lot of the fans that would be waiting, they all know each other and they had known me previously from like the Anaheim Marketplace or something like that. And it's always special for me to do stuff like when I'm able to come back and do things here because like people that line up or whatever, like I was one of them and I'm still one of them, So for me it's always really special to do stuff in Los Angeles.
Absolutely, you're having that hometown feel, just kind of giving back to your community and stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So one thing that I do want to ask is that currently you're on Impact Wrestling, killing it as a part of the X Division, going after that X Division title. You were a part of the TNA before as Monique and of course as Suicide. The question I have is that what was those beginnings like for you in professional wrestling?
Well, I mean, out here, like fans out here know like there's a lot of lucha libre in Los Angeles and in Southern California. So I got my roots in lucha libre. A lot of my first matches as a teenager were like hopping across the border, like going to Auditorio and doing those matches when I was like 13 years old, and just kind of the last guy like in the match, that sort of thing. And they used to have lucha libre cards at like Fox Theater in Pomona and like the Anaheim Marketplace, which I mentioned before. Going and training in like Gil's Garage and things like that. Like there's a lot of that. That was like how I was sort of broken in. And then like my original trainers, Bill Anderson and Jesse Hernandez, were like they had a big background in lucha libre themselves. So like a lot of what they were teaching us was always lucha libre. So like that's sort of like my like in like my blood and the way that I was brought up as far as that culture. But I mean, 22 years goes by real fast. I started in '98 and I blink and it's like now I'm here. So
absolutely. And speaking about now, you're really kind of active, especially during a pandemic. Of course, you are with Impact Wrestling a little bit with MLW. How has been the protocols for Impact been, especially with the tapings?
Those have always been really good. I feel like, and I've been blessed with being able to like work for so many different companies. Impact had really like maybe the most organized operation out of any, like their own like testing schedules and things like that. We always have staff on hands, like entering and exiting the building, like taking our vitals and things like that. They keep us accommodated really well with the travel and everything. Like our hotel is almost like a bubble system. They basically like quarantine and segregate this entire hotel for us. Each room is like almost like a mini apartment, and it's one. Everybody is like kind of on their own and put separately. So it's and we do our events in blocks there, so we're able to kind of get our testing done, come in, get our vitals done, have a nice like separated comfortable setting in the hotel, and then our in-studio shows, which are obviously closed set, and get a block of it done, and then be able to kind of like rest, relax, get retested if you want to, if you need to, and all that, and make sure that you're all checked up, and then be able to kind of go back to work later, as opposed to like working constantly, like every single week.
Absolutely.
Obviously, in my case, I am working almost every single week. So for me, like doing my own independent like checkups and stuff is like a necessity for me. And so like I'm I probably get tested more than anybody else. I have to do it for like 4 or 5 different companies.
Right.
But Impact has a pretty good operation. They've had very few hookups in comparison to like a lot of the places. So, I don't think any place is perfect, but they've had a really good like track record as far as like being organized. Nothing is ever really scattered there.
Absolutely, and of course you are killing it in Impact, but also in the Super J Cup, you have been a part of, New Japan and all of those organizations over there in Japan. Is the protocol different over there? Like, what has the experience been compared to like the American wrestling scene right now?
Well, I guess it would depend because like the Japanese office and the USA office have separate events going on to accommodate the difficulties with travel. You'd be going in or out of Japan. Going into Japan, you have to quarantine for 2 weeks, in Colorado. So, what would normally be a 3-week tour, for example, is now really a 5-week tour. So, a lot of guys are not necessarily traveling over just because logistically it's nearly impossible for everybody to be able to do it.
Right.
And then in the United States, the U.S. office is, similar to Impact. Everybody has, their individual testing incoming, and then, vitals at the show, closed set, operation, and then tapings in bulk. So, it's a similar deal. Everybody's comfortable, one to a room, and same hotel every time. So, everybody's pretty well taken care of as far as that goes.
Absolutely, and it's actually cool to see you with all these other promotions. But one of the promotions that I do want to point out is, of course, WWE, World Wrestling Entertainment. And one of the things that I do want to mention is, of course, where your first appearance was with the Cruiserweight Classic, 2016, where there was people like Tyson Dukes, Kota Ibushi, and of course, you won the entire thing. However, I do want to ask, was that the original plan for you to win the entire thing?
I don't know how far back, but I know as far as from like round 1 it was, because well, they told me. They had asked me who I wanted in the finals after round 1. I remember I actually asked for Zach, and it was going to be Zach for a while because we were in the opposite bracket. And then it was later on they decided that I think Metallic, they thought it would be a better, more diverse match, I think. Me and Zach are maybe a little too similar as far as what we do technically. My bag is a little bit more mixed than his, so there are other things that I can do, but I think they felt like, if I'm already going to bring that element, that maybe like Metallic would be a totally different type of match, which they were right. It made for styles make fights, as they could say.
Right.
But yeah, I knew as far back as that, yeah.
No, absolutely. The first ever Cruiserweight champion, the Cruiserweight Classic champion, for those who want to be more specific. But, it was awesome to see you kind of win that tournament. You went through hell to get there. And you went through obstacles like Kota Ibushi and Grand Metalik, who, posed as a great challenge to you because both of you have both similar Lucha Libre styles. When you finally won that title, was there like a sigh of relief, like you made it to the tournament, or was it kind of more, I'm getting signed to WWE?
I don't know. Like at the time that I won, I had actually I wasn't signed, and I had turned down the initial offer. I really wanted to do Lucha Underground at the time, and I had just spent a few years in TNA, and before that I had spent a couple years in Nirvana, and before that I was on this show called Lucha Libre USA, which was on MTV for like a few seasons.
Right.
So it had been a while since I could kind of really travel and just be independent and all that. Years. So.
And then now, of course, you've been, TJP, you've been TJ Perkins, you've also been a superhero behind a mask, with Malik, and of course, Suicide. What was it like kind of bringing a superhero from a video game in Suicide to life?
That was a lot of fun because that was the first time I had played a character that was like not something that I had to really create. And the interesting thing is that being Suicide, and eventually they changed the name to Manic. When I was doing Suicide, the stuff that I did create for it ended up being things that they had always kind of wanted, but they didn't really know how to articulate it to the previous guys that had been Suicide. So they were kind of getting for the first time what they thought the character should always be, which I just happened to, by luck, I just happened to be a good fit for it, physically and creatively. And I loved it. I always thought, characters that have legacies like that, Tiger Mask in Japan, and things like that, that are passed down. I always felt like Suicide and TNA was like it's sort of a flagship character. I think, you think of TNA and there's a handful of people you think of, you think of AJ. I think of Chris Sabin because I think he's probably the greatest TNA specific wrestler ever.
Mm-hmm.
Just because he just lives and breathes TNA. It's just so synonymous with it. I mean, you think of AJ, you think of Jeff Jarrett, you think of Sting. But I feel like Suicide is like an image in your head. Like that character is something that you just kind of see it go hand in hand. So I mean, it was an honor to be able to do it and to have done it in a way that they really liked it. I thought that was a lot of fun to do.
Absolutely. Well, I do want to thank you so much for doing this interview, but before we go, I do have one final question, and that is, of course, you are under contract with Impact Wrestling as of right now, and of course, you're doing stuff with MLW, and of course, it's New Japan. Will there be a chance, whether that's 2020, 2021, or within the next few years, we might see you back in WWE or anything with AEW?
I mean, you could probably see it tomorrow. I'm not under contract anymore. And maybe. I mean, that's one of the reasons why I wasn't and still not under contract, was just because I wanted to be able to, make my own schedule and do my own thing. I didn't anticipate being maybe the only guy with this volume of work. I don't know anybody that has like so many different like companies that they're like working for at the same time, like how you're mentioning with Impact and New Japan, MLW, probably AAA coming up soon as well. And I have a lot of friends at AEW, I have a lot of friends still in WWE, and constantly in contact with everybody. Ring of Honor as well, but I don't know. It's fun having a full plate. We'll see what comes next.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for being a part of this. It was great to get a conversation with you. And for those who don't know, make sure you guys follow TJP on all social medias. Link will be down in the description below, and also follow the Wrestling Guy store because they're absolutely amazing. So make sure you guys support local businesses. This is Supporting Local Business Saturday, if I'm not mistaken. And we're always ready to support some local businesses. So thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you very much for having me.
Of course.